My sister mocked me as weak and faked evidence to ruin my marriage. But at her rehearsal dinner, I exposed her dirty scheme in front of everyone. I'm Elizabeth, and I need to tell you something that took me years to understand about my own family. At 28, I thought I knew who I was. The quiet sister, the sensitive one, the family member everyone felt sorry for during gatherings. My sister Anna is 4 years older than me. From the outside, we probably looked like any normal siblings. She's always been the confident one, the life of the party, the sister who could make everyone laugh with her quick wit and theatrical storytelling. I was the audience, always the audience. It started small when we were teenagers. Anna would share my most embarrassing moments at family dinners, turning my awkward high school experiences into entertainment for our parents and relatives. Remember when Lizzie tried to ask Tommy to prom by writing him a poem? She'd announce dramatically, recreating my teenage voice while everyone chuckled. I'd laugh along because that's what you do, right? Family is family. But inside, something always twisted uncomfortably when she'd expose these pieces of me to everyone. I tried talking to her about it once when I was 22, after she'd spent an entire Christmas dinner describing my disastrous first job interview. Anna, could you maybe not share those stories? They make me feel... Oh, come on, Lizzie, she interrupted. You're being way too sensitive. It's just family fun. Everyone has embarrassing stories. She'd waved me off with that dismissive gesture I knew so well. Besides, you need to learn to laugh at yourself. But here's the thing I didn't understand then. Anna never shared her own embarrassing moments. She never talked about the time she got so drunk at her college graduation that she threw up on her professor, or when she cried for hours after her high school boyfriend dumped her. Those stories stayed buried while mine became the evening's entertainment. Our parents always took her side. Elizabeth, you know Anna loves you, Mom would say. She's just trying to help you not take yourself so seriously. Dad would nod along, adding, Your sister's right, kiddo. You've got to have thick skin in this world. The pattern continued through my early 20s. Every family gathering became an opportunity for Anna to showcase my failures and flaws. My failed relationships became her comedy material. I started to believe I really was overly sensitive, that I couldn't take a joke, that my reactions were the problem. I became smaller at these gatherings, quieter, always bracing myself for the next story that would leave me feeling exposed and humiliated while everyone else laughed. Anna was 28 when she got married the first time, and I remember feeling hopeful that marriage might change her focus. I was wrong to think marriage would change anything. If anything, it gave her more credibility as the successful sister, while I remained the family's cautionary tale. The turning point came at our cousin Sarah's bridal shower. I was 26, and for the first time in years, I had something good to share. I'd been dating Lucas for 8 months, the longest relationship I'd ever had. Lucas was different from the guys I'd dated before. He was patient, kind, and actually seemed to enjoy my company. For the first time in my adult life, I felt like someone saw me as worthy of love and respect. The shower was at Aunt Patricia's Victorian house. About 20 women were there, and I was excited to introduce Lucas to my extended family later. The first hour went surprisingly well. I mingled, shared stories about Lucas when people asked, and felt normal, included. Then came the games. When it was my turn to share a dating disaster story, I planned to tell something light, but Anna interrupted before I could speak. Oh my God, you guys have to hear about Lizzie's dating history. It's like a masterclass in what not to do. Her voice carried that familiar sing-song tone that always preceded my public humiliation. I felt my stomach drop. Anna, I was actually going to share— No, I've got this one, she said, turning to address the room. So, my little sister here has always been a bit desperate when it comes to men. And I mean that with love. The room went quiet in that expectant way. I looked around at faces I'd known my whole life, women who should have protected me, instead leaning forward with interest. There was this one guy, David, who she dated for about 3 weeks. 3 weeks! But Lizzie was already planning their wedding in her head. She showed me the Pinterest board she'd made with their theoretical wedding colors. My face burned. I had shown Anna that board in confidence, excited about the possibility of a future with someone who seemed interested in me. But here's the best part, Anna continued. When David finally ghosted her, Lizzie spent an entire weekend crying on my couch, like the kind where your face gets all blotchy and you can't breathe properly. A few women laughed uncomfortably. Anna mimicked my voice with exaggerated patheticness, making me sound like a whimpering child. She kept saying, "What did I do wrong?" over and over like a broken record. I had to literally take her phone away to stop her from texting him. The worst part was how Anna told it with theatrical flair, turning my most vulnerable moment into a performance piece. But don't worry, Anna concluded. She's got Lucas now, so maybe she's finally learned not to scare them off too quickly. The room erupted in laughter, and something broke inside me. When Lucas picked me up later, I was quiet in the car. I couldn't explain that my own sister had just painted me as pathetic in front of our entire extended family. That was my first mistake. I should have told him everything. There would be many more mistakes to come. 2 years later, I was engaged to Lucas, and it should have been the happiest time of my life. He proposed on a hiking trail we'd discovered together, and I cried happy tears for the first time in recent memory. I called my parents immediately, then Anna. "Congratulations," Anna had said, her voice strangely flat. "I'm sure you'll be very happy." Anna had recently separated from her husband Derek after 5 years of marriage. She was staying with our parents temporarily while she figured out her next steps. I felt genuinely sorry for her and tried to be supportive, even asking her to be my maid of honor. The trouble started subtly during wedding planning. "Are you sure about this timeline?" Anna asked one evening in Mom's kitchen, surrounded by bridal magazines. "You've only been together 2 years. That's not very long to really know someone." "Lucas and I have lived together for over a year," I replied. "We know each other pretty well." "Living together isn't the same as being married, though," Anna said. "Marriage reveals things about people that dating never does. Trust me, I learned that the hard way with Derek." I wanted to point out that Anna had known Derek for only 6 months before they got engaged, but I bit my tongue. "Besides," Anna continued, "you've always been the type to rush into things emotionally. Remember David? You were picking out wedding colors after 3 weeks." There it was again, my past failures being used to undermine my present happiness. But this time felt different. Anna wasn't performing for an audience, she seemed genuinely concerned. "This is different, Anna. Lucas is different." "I hope so," she said, but her tone suggested serious doubts. Anna would make observations about Lucas that I'd never noticed. How he sometimes seemed impatient when I told long stories, how he checked his phone during family dinners, how he hadn't introduced me to all of his friends yet. "I'm just looking out for you," she'd say whenever I got defensive. "I don't want to see you get hurt again." The thing about Anna was that she'd always been perceptive about people. So, when she started pointing out these little things about Lucas, part of me wondered if she was seeing something I was blind to. During a family dinner 6 months before our planned wedding, Anna's concerns became more pointed. "Has Lucas always been this controlling?" she asked quietly while we cleared dishes. "Controlling? What are you talking about?" "The way he corrected you earlier when you were telling that story, and how he ordered your dinner last week. Little things like that. Those aren't controlling behaviors, Anna. He was being helpful, maybe. Or maybe he's one of those guys who starts subtle and gets worse after the wedding," Anna said. I remember Derek being really charming at first, too. That night, I found myself analyzing Lucas's behavior in ways I never had before. I hated that Anna's words were making me question the man I loved, but I couldn't seem to stop the doubts from creeping in. Anna's campaign against my relationship intensified in ways so subtle I didn't recognize them as attacks. She began seeking out time alone with Lucas, dropping by when I was at work, calling him directly, finding excuses for one-on-one time. "I just want to get to know my future brother-in-law better," she explained when I questioned it. What I didn't know was what Anna was telling him during these private conversations. She started with concerned trolling, expressing worry about my mental health and emotional stability. She'd reference incidents from our childhood, painting them in the worst possible light. "I love Elizabeth so much," she told Lucas over coffee at Riverside Cafe, "but I worry about her sometimes. She's always been intense about relationships. She gets these ideas in her head." "What kind of ideas?" Lucas asked, genuinely concerned. "Well, like, when she was convinced her college boyfriend was cheating because he didn't text back within an hour," Anna said. "She went through his phone, showed up at his dorm unannounced, called his friends. Really unhealthy behavior." None of that was true, but Anna told the story with such convincing detail that Lucas had no reason to doubt her. "She's gotten better," Anna continued. "But sometimes I still see those patterns, like how she gets upset if you don't respond to her text right away or how she asks a lot of questions about where you've been." Again, not true. But Anna was taking normal relationship behaviors and reframing them as warning signs of possessiveness. "I just want you to be aware," Anna said, touching Lucas's hand, "because I care about both of you. I'd hate to see you get hurt." Lucas started paying attention to things he'd never noticed before. When I asked about his day, he wondered if I was being controlling. When I texted during the day, he questioned whether I was being clingy. Anna fed these doubts carefully. She'd call when she knew I was in the shower or running errands. "Hey, I wanted to check in," she'd say to Lucas. "Elizabeth seemed really stressed last night. Is everything okay between you two?" "We're fine," Lucas would reply. "Why do you ask?" "She seemed on edge, like she was watching your every move," Anna said. "When you mentioned drinks with Kia workers on Friday, her face got really tight. I was worried she might have said something later." Lucas would hang up, confused and unsettled. Anna was making him hyper-analyze every interaction we had, looking for problems that didn't exist. The most damaging lies came as manufactured evidence. Anna took screenshots of my old social media posts and edited them to make me sound bitter. She created fake text conversations where I supposedly complained about Lucas, calling him boring or saying I was only marrying him because I was desperate. "I probably shouldn't show you this," Anna said during one coffee meeting, pulling out her phone with obvious reluctance. "But I'm worried about her headspace." She showed Lucas fabricated texts where I allegedly wrote, "Lucas is so predictable. Sometimes I wonder if I'm settling because I'm tired of being alone, but at least he's stable, I guess." There had been no argument about wedding venues like the fake text claimed, but Anna's evidence made Lucas question everything. Was I really happy, or was I settling? Did I complain about him behind his back? "I feel terrible showing you this," Anna continued. "But you deserve to know how she really feels. You're such a good guy, Lucas. You deserve someone who appreciates you completely." The confrontation came on a Tuesday evening in March, 3 months before our wedding. Lucas walked into our kitchen with his phone and an expression I'd never seen before. "We need to talk," he said, his voice cold. I turned off the burner and faced him. "What's wrong?" "I've been talking to Anna, and she's shown me some concerning things." Lucas said. Elizabeth, I need you to be honest. Do you really want to marry me, or are you just settling because you're afraid of being alone? What? Lucas, of course I want to marry you. Where is this coming from? Anna showed me your text messages, he said. The ones where you said I was predictable and boring, where you said you were only marrying me because you were tired of being alone. What text messages? I said. I never said those things. I would never say those things about you. Lucas showed me his phone. There, in what looked like a conversation between Anna and me, were messages that made my blood run cold. They were in my usual texting style, but the content was devastating. I never sent these, I said immediately. Lucas, I swear I never wrote any of this. This isn't real. It's from Anna's phone, Lucas said. Elizabeth, why would she make this up? I don't know, but I didn't write these messages, I said. Look at my phone. Check our text history. You won't find anything like this. I grabbed my phone and pulled up my conversation with Anna, scrolling through weeks of mundane sister texts about wedding planning. There was nothing resembling the horrible messages Lucas was showing me. Anna could have deleted them from your phone, Lucas said, but he looked confused. Lucas, think about this logically, I said. When would I have sent these? We don't fight. We picked the wedding venue together, remember? But I could see the doubt in his eyes. Anna had been so thorough that Lucas was questioning his own memories. What about the other things? He asked. Anna told me about your history with relationships, how you've always been possessive and jealous. She said you used to stalk your ex-boyfriends. That's not true, I said. Lucas, you know me. Have I ever been possessive with you? Have I ever gone through your phone or questioned where you were? He was quiet, mentally reviewing our relationship. No, he admitted finally. You've never done anything like that. Because I'm not that person, I said. Anna is lying to you, and I don't understand why. Why would your own sister lie about you? Lucas asked. That doesn't make sense. I wished I had a good answer. I don't know, but I'm telling you the truth. I love you more than I've ever loved anyone. You're not predictable or boring. You're steady and kind, and you make me laugh every day. Lucas looked at his phone again, clearly torn. There's more, he said quietly. Anna said you've been talking to your ex-boyfriend, David. He showed me Instagram DMs that appeared to be between David and me, dated from the previous month. In them, I was supposedly complaining about Lucas and making references to meeting up. This is not real, I said, my voice shaking. Lucas, I haven't spoken to David in over 3 years. I handed him my phone. There was no conversation with David at all. Anna could have deleted them, Lucas said, but he sounded less certain. Or Anna could have faked them, I countered. She works in graphic design. She knows how to manipulate images. Lucas sat down heavily. I don't know what to believe anymore. Believe me, I said. Believe us. Don't let Anna destroy something real. But I could see it was too late. The poison had done its work. Lucas looked at me like he wasn't sure who I was anymore. I need time to think, he said finally. The words felt like a death sentence. Anna had won. Lucas moved out that weekend. 3 weeks later, he called off the wedding entirely. I can't marry someone I don't trust, he said during our final conversation. And I can't trust someone who lies about their feelings and talks to their ex-boyfriends behind my back. I never did those things, I said. Lucas, Anna made it all up. Why would she do that? He asked. What would she gain? I still didn't have a good answer. And my inability to explain Anna's motivations seemed to confirm his doubts about my honesty. But Anna's sabotage didn't stop with Lucas. I discovered she'd been spreading her poison far beyond our relationship. My best friend Jennifer called a few days later, her voice careful and measured. Hey Liz, I heard about you and Lucas. I'm really sorry. Can I ask you something? Anna called me last week. She said she was worried about you, that you'd been having some kind of emotional breakdown. She said you'd been stalking Lucas's coworkers and showing up at his office unannounced. I felt sick. Jennifer, I never did any of those things. I don't even know where Lucas's office is. She also said you'd been calling his friends and family, spreading rumors about his mental health, Jennifer continued. None of that is true, Jennifer, I said. You've known me for 8 years. Do I sound like someone who would do those things? No, she said finally. You don't. But Anna seemed so concerned, and she had specific details. Anna is lying, I said. She's been systematically destroying my relationship for months. Jennifer believed me, but I could tell the conversation had planted seeds of doubt. If Anna had called her, who else had she contacted? I found out over the following weeks Anna had reached out to my CO workers, telling them she was concerned about my erratic behavior. She'd called Aunt Patricia, expressing worry about my ability to handle stress. She'd even contacted my boss, suggesting I might need time off to deal with my emotional issues. Everywhere I went, I felt people looking at me differently. Were they wondering if I was the unstable, desperate woman Anna had described? Meanwhile, Anna played the concerned sister perfectly. She called me daily, offering comfort that felt like salt in wounds I was only beginning to understand she'd inflicted. I'm so sorry about Lucas, she said during one call. I know how much you loved him, but maybe this is for the best. If he couldn't handle some family drama, he probably wasn't the right guy anyway. Family drama. As if the systematic destruction of my relationship was just a minor disagreement between siblings. I tried to warn you that he seemed controlling, Anna continued. I was afraid something like this would happen. She was rewriting history even as she pretended to comfort me, making Lucas the villain in a story where she was the true antagonist. I started seeing a therapist, Dr. Rebecca. During our third session, I finally found words to describe what Anna had done. It sounds like your sister engaged in a deliberate campaign of psychological manipulation, Dr. Rebecca said. What you're describing isn't normal sibling conflict, it's a pattern designed to isolate you and destroy your support systems. But why would she do that? I asked. There could be many reasons, Dr. Rebecca replied. Jealousy, competition, a need for control, or simply the satisfaction of having power over someone else's life. For the first time since the nightmare began, I felt validated. Someone believed me. Someone understood that what Anna had done wasn't normal or acceptable. The question now is how you want to handle this knowledge, Dr. Rebecca continued. Do you want to confront your sister, try to repair damaged relationships, or focus on building a new life separate from her influence? I didn't know the answer yet, but for the first time in months, I felt like I had options beyond just surviving Anna's latest assault on my happiness. 6 months after Lucas left, my cousin Maya came to visit. Maya was 23, young enough that the family dynamics hadn't shaped her the same way they'd affected the rest of us. Aunt Elizabeth, can I ask you something personal? Maya said over coffee at my apartment. Of course, sweetheart. Did you really do all those things Mom said you did to Lucas? She asked. The stalking, the fake social media accounts, the calling his work? That doesn't sound like you at all, but Mom was so specific about the details. I sat down my cup carefully. Maya, I never did any of those things. Where did you hear this? Mom told me when I asked why you and Lucas broke up, Maya said. She said you'd had some kind of mental health crisis and started exhibiting really unhealthy behaviors. What else did she say? I asked. Maya shifted uncomfortably. She said you'd always been a little unstable in relationships, but that this was the worst she'd ever seen. She said she tried to help Lucas understand that you were dealing with psychological issues, but he couldn't handle it. I felt that familiar surge of rage and helplessness. Anna hadn't just destroyed my relationship. She'd poisoned my reputation throughout our entire family. Maya, none of that is true, I said. Your mother made all of that up. But why would she lie? Maya asked. It was the same question everyone asked, and I was finally ready to give an honest answer. Because she's always been jealous when I'm happy, and she enjoys having control over my life. She's been doing this since we were teenagers, but this was the worst it's ever been. Maya was quiet for a long moment. You know, she said finally, Mom did the same thing to Dad when they were getting divorced. What do you mean? I asked. She told everyone that Dad was having an affair and that he'd been emotionally abusive, Maya said. She showed people text messages and emails that proved he was cheating. My pulse quickened. Were the messages real? I don't think so, Maya said. Dad showed me his actual phone records and email accounts when I was old enough to understand. There was no evidence of an affair, no abusive messages, nothing. But Mom was so convincing that most people believed her. Did you ever confront her about the lies? I asked. Maya shook her head. I was just a kid, and I was scared of making things worse. But I always knew something didn't add up. This was the confirmation I'd been unconsciously seeking. Anna's behavior with Lucas wasn't an aberration, it was her pattern. Maya, has Anna ever told you stories about me from when we were growing up? About me being dramatic or unstable? Yeah, lots of them, Maya said. She always said you were the problem child, that you caused most of the family drama. What if I told you that most of those stories were exaggerated or completely made up? I asked. Maya looked at me with new understanding. I think I'd believe you. I've always wondered why the Elizabeth in Mom's stories was so different from the Elizabeth I know. We talked for 3 more hours. Maya shared memories that painted a very different picture of our family dynamics. She told me about conversations where Anna spoke about me with genuine malice, not loving concern. She described Anna's reaction to my engagement. Not happiness, but barely concealed fury. I think Mom needs to tear other people down to feel good about herself, Maya said. And you've always been her favorite target. Why are you telling me all this now? I asked. Because I'm tired of watching her hurt people and get away with it, Maya said. And because you deserve to know the truth. That evening, I called Dr. Rebecca for an emergency session. I have confirmation that Anna has done this before, I told her. This is her pattern. How does that make you feel? Dr. Rebecca asked. Angry, devastated, but also relieved, I said. At least I know I'm not crazy. What do you want to do with this information? She asked. For the first time since the nightmare began, I felt a spark of something that wasn't just survival instinct. I want to stop her from doing this to anyone else, I said, and I want to make sure she faces consequences. Dr. Rebecca nodded. That's a healthy response, as long as you approach it strategically. Revenge wasn't what I wanted. Justice was, and I was finally ready to seek it. Armed with Maya's revelations, I began documenting everything. I printed text conversations, saved screenshots of social media interactions, and wrote detailed timelines of Anna's behavior. I wanted to be prepared if I ever had the opportunity to expose her lies with actual evidence. What I discovered was both validating and horrifying. Anna had been far more systematic than I'd realized. She'd carefully cultivated relationships with my friends and family for years, positioning herself as the reliable source of information about my life and mental state. I also discovered that Anna had been intercepting some of my communications. She'd somehow gained access to my email account and had been deleting messages from Lucas that might have contradicted her narrative. The depth of her deception was staggering. 3 months after my conversation with Maya, I learned that Ana was engaged again. Her new fiancé was Pablo, a successful architect she'd met through work. From family conversations, Pablo was everything Ana wanted, financially stable, well-respected, and completely smitten with her. The engagement announcement came during a family dinner. Ana stood up, Pablo beside her, and announced their plans to marry in 8 months. The ring was stunning, a large emerald-cut diamond. "We're so happy," Ana gushed. "Pablo is everything I've ever wanted in a partner. He's honest, loyal, and treats me like a queen." I watched Pablo's face as she spoke. He looked at Ana with genuine adoration, the same way Lucas had once looked at me. Pablo had no idea what he was getting into. Over the following weeks, I began paying closer attention to Ana's relationship. I watched how she interacted with Pablo at family gatherings, how she was already beginning to plant seeds of control and manipulation. During one family barbecue, I overheard Ana telling Pablo that his college friends were a bad influence and maybe he should spend less time with them now that he was getting married. She said it sweetly, lovingly, but I recognized the beginning of the isolation process I'd seen her use on others. I also noticed Ana establishing herself as the authority on Pablo's thoughts and feelings, just as she'd done with Lucas. "Pablo doesn't really like spicy food," she'd say when he was in the bathroom, contradicting what I'd heard him say about loving Mexican cuisine. "Pablo thinks we should have the wedding at the country club," she'd announce, even though Pablo had mentioned preferring a casual outdoor venue. The parallels to what she'd done to me were unmistakable. But I was no longer the naive woman who'd let her sister destroy her happiness without fighting back. I was older, wiser, and armed with knowledge of exactly how Ana operated. I started keeping detailed notes about Ana's behavior toward Pablo. I documented the small lies, the attempts at control, the way she contradicted his stated preferences. I wasn't sure what I would do with this information, but I knew it might be important later. I also began my own careful campaign of relationship building. I made an effort to spend time with Pablo when Ana wasn't around, getting to know him as an individual rather than as Ana's fiancé. "Your sister is amazing," Pablo told me during one conversation. "She's so confident and sure of herself." "Ana is definitely unique," I agreed. "She's told me a lot about your family, about growing up together. It sounds like you two have been through some difficult times." My pulse quickened. "What did she tell you?" "Just that you've struggled with some personal issues over the years, and that she's always tried to be there for you," Pablo said. Ana was already laying groundwork to discredit me if I ever tried to warn Pablo, but I also recognized an opportunity. This time, I could be proactive. I could plant seeds of truth so subtly that Pablo would discover Ana's real nature for himself. "Ana has always been protective of family," I said carefully. "Sometimes maybe a little too protective. She has very strong opinions about what's best for people." I was learning to play Ana's game, but with one crucial difference. I was playing with the truth. My opportunity came when Pablo reached out to me directly, asking if I wanted to grab coffee and talk about wedding planning. Ana was working late and he said he valued my perspective as someone who'd been through the engagement process recently. We met at Riverside Cafe, the same place where Ana had poisoned Lucas against me. There was poetic justice in using her preferred venue against her. "I hope you don't mind me asking," Pablo said after we'd ordered, "but Ana mentioned that your engagement didn't end well. Do you have any advice about red flags to watch out for?" This was exactly the opening I'd been hoping for, but I had to be careful. If I came across as bitter, Pablo would dismiss everything I said. "That's really thoughtful of you to ask," I said. "I think the most important thing is to make sure you really know each other, not just the versions you present when you're trying to impress each other, but who you really are when you're stressed or dealing with conflict." "That makes sense," Pablo said. "Ana and I have been together for a year, but we haven't really had any major disagreements yet." "That can be good or bad," I said carefully. "Either you're really compatible or one of you is avoiding conflict to keep the peace. Both are worth examining." Pablo nodded, thinking about this. "Ana does tend to take charge in most situations," he said. "She says it's because she's more decisive than I am, and honestly, I usually don't mind." "As long as you feel like your voice is heard when it matters to you," I said. "Some people are naturally more decisive, but in a healthy relationship, both people should feel comfortable expressing their needs." "What happened with you and Lucas, if you don't mind me asking?" Pablo said. This was the crucial moment. I could tell Pablo the truth about Ana's sabotage, but he'd never believe it. Or I could use this opportunity to plant seeds that would help him recognize the patterns when they emerged. "Communication breakdown," I said, which was technically true. We started having trust issues, and once that foundation was shaken, everything fell apart. I learned that it's really important to verify things for yourself instead of just accepting what other people tell you about your partner. "What do you mean?" Pablo asked. "Well, sometimes people close to you have opinions about your relationship," I said. "And they might share information or concerns that seem legitimate, but it's important to remember that they might not have the full picture, or they might have their own motivations." Pablo was listening intently. "Are you talking about family members specifically?" "Family, friends, anyone really," I said. "The people who love you want what's best for you, but sometimes their idea of what's best doesn't align with what actually makes you happy." We talked for another hour about wedding planning and relationship expectations. Pablo was genuinely excited about marrying Ana, and I found myself hoping that maybe she would be different with him. Over the following weeks, I continued building a relationship with Pablo while observing Ana's behavior. I noticed she was already beginning to rewrite Pablo's history and preferences, just as she'd done with Lucas. Pablo doesn't really enjoy hiking, Ana announced during a family dinner despite Pablo telling me days earlier about his plans to hike the Appalachian Trail. Pablo thinks we should have a small wedding, she said, even though Pablo had mentioned wanting to celebrate with his large extended family. I watched Pablo's face during these moments, looking for signs that he noticed the discrepancies. Sometimes I caught a flicker of confusion, a moment where he seemed to question whether Ana's version of his preferences was accurate, but he never corrected her directly, and I could see him gradually beginning to doubt his own thoughts and feelings. It was happening again, and this time I had a front row seat to Ana's systematic dismantling of another person's sense of self. The question was, what was I going to do about it? My plan began to take shape when I discovered that Ana was already cheating on Pablo. I hadn't been looking for evidence of infidelity, but Ana's patterns were so predictable that certain behaviors stood out. She'd started working late more frequently, claiming her design firm had landed a major new client. But when I drove past her office building one evening, her car wasn't there. A few strategic inquiries revealed that her ex-husband Derek had been seen around town recently. I confirmed my suspicions by following Ana one Thursday evening when she claimed to be working late. Instead of going to her office, she drove to the Marriott Hotel downtown and met Derek in the lobby. They embraced like lovers, not like exes who happened to be in the same city. This was the ammunition I needed, but I had to be strategic. If I simply told Pablo that Ana was cheating, he might not believe me. After all, Ana had positioned me as the unstable sister with personal issues. I needed Pablo to discover the truth in a way that would be impossible for Ana to explain away. I started documenting Ana's deception systematically. I took photos of her car at the Marriott when she claimed to be at the office. I tracked her social media activity and noticed she was posting work-related content during times when she was actually with Derek. I even managed to get a photo of Ana and Derek together through the hotel restaurant window, but I also needed Pablo to witness Ana's true nature firsthand. Not just her infidelity, but her manipulative behavior. I needed him to see what I'd seen, to understand how she operated when she thought no one was watching. My opportunity came during our cousin Sarah's birthday party at a local restaurant. It was a large family gathering and I knew Ana would be performing for the crowd, showcasing her charming public persona while subtly undermining other people. I arrived early and positioned myself strategically where I could observe Ana's interactions. I brought a small digital recorder and placed it discreetly on the table, hoping to capture Ana's behavior, when she thought she was among only trusted family. Pablo arrived with Ana, and I watched her immediately begin her usual routine. She complimented Aunt Patricia's dress while making a subtle dig about how it made her look younger. She praised our cousin Michael's new job while mentioning that she'd heard the company was struggling financially. It was masterful manipulation disguised as loving concern, and Pablo was getting his first real look at how Ana operated in family settings. "Ana, you're so thoughtful to worry about everyone," Pablo said during a lull in conversation. "I just want what's best for my family," Ana replied sweetly. "Sometimes that means being honest about things other people might not want to face." That's when I decided to test something. "Speaking of honesty," I said casually, "Pablo, didn't you say you were excited about that hiking trip you're planning?" Pablo's face lit up. "Oh yeah, I've been researching trails for months. I want to do sections of the Appalachian Trail over the next few years." Ana's expression tightened almost imperceptibly. "Pablo's not really a hiker," she said dismissively. "He thinks he wants to do these outdoor adventures, but he's more of a homebody." "Actually, I love camping," Pablo said, looking confused. "I've been hiking since college." "You say that," Ana replied with a patronizing smile, "but you complained about the mosquitoes the whole time we went to the lake last month." I watched Pablo's face as he processed this exchange. I could see him trying to reconcile Ana's version of his interests with his own knowledge of what he enjoyed. The evening's real breakthrough came when Ana stepped away to use the restroom. She left her phone on the table, and it buzzed with a text message. The preview showed, "Can't wait to see you tomorrow night, same place. D." Pablo glanced at the phone, then looked at me with confusion. "Who's D?" I could have told him about Derek right then, but I knew it would be more powerful if he discovered the truth himself. "I don't know," I said honestly. "Maybe you should ask Ana when she gets back." When Ana returned, Pablo was holding her phone. "You got a text from someone named D," he said. "Should I be worried?" Ana's reaction was immediate and telling. Instead of laughing it off, she grabbed the phone quickly and said, "It's just work stuff. Derek from the marketing department." Pablo's expression shifted. Ana had just lied to his face and we both knew it. Derek wasn't from any marketing department. He was her ex-husband. The week leading up to Ana's wedding was when everything unraveled completely. Pablo had been quietly investigating the inconsistencies he'd noticed in Ana's behavior, and I'd been feeding him just enough truth to help him see the pattern. The final piece fell into place when Maya presented Pablo with evidence that Ana had been spreading false information about his own friends and family. Ana had told Pablo that his sister thought he was making a mistake getting married so quickly, when his sister had never said any such thing. She'd convinced him that his best friend had expressed concerns about their relationship, when the friend had actually told multiple people how happy he was for Pablo. "She's been isolating me," Pablo told me during an emergency coffee meeting 3 days before the wedding. "She's made me doubt my own judgment about people I've known for years." "I'm sorry this is happening," I said, and I genuinely meant it. Despite my desire for justice, I took no pleasure in watching Pablo discover that the woman he loved was systematically manipulating him. "There's more," he said, pulling out his phone. "I hired a private investigator to follow her last week. I needed to know if she was really working late or if something else was going on." The photos on his phone showed Anna and Derek together at the Marriott, at a restaurant across town, and entering Derek's apartment building. The timestamps proved that Anna had been lying about her whereabouts for weeks. "I confronted Derek yesterday," Pablo continued. "He said they've been seeing each other since her divorce was finalized. He thinks she's been single this whole time. He had no idea she was engaged to me." The scope of Anna's deception was staggering. She'd been living parallel lives, manipulating both men while planning a wedding to one and maintaining a relationship with the other. "What are you going to do?" I asked. "I'm going to expose her," Pablo said firmly. "Not just the cheating, but everything. The lies, the manipulation, the way she's tried to control every aspect of my life." "Pablo, are you sure?" I asked. "There are a lot of people who still believe Anna's version of events about everything." "That's exactly why they need to hear it," he said. "How many other people has she done this to? How many relationships has she destroyed?" I thought about Lucas, about Derek, about all the family members who had been subjected to Anna's subtle manipulations over the years. Pablo was right. Anna's pattern needed to be exposed. "When?" I asked. "Tomorrow night at the rehearsal dinner," he said, "in front of everyone." The rehearsal dinner was held at the country club Anna had insisted on, despite Pablo's preference for something more casual. 50 people gathered in the elegant dining room, family members, close friends, and wedding party members who had no idea they were about to witness the complete destruction of Anna's carefully crafted reputation. Pablo waited until after dinner, when people were relaxed and expecting traditional toasts. He stood up with his champagne glass, and the room fell quiet. "Thank you all for being here tonight," he began, his voice steady and clear. "Before Anna and I exchange vows tomorrow, I think it's important for everyone to know exactly who they're celebrating." I saw Anna's smile falter slightly, but she probably thought Pablo was about to give a romantic speech. "Over the past few months, I've discovered that Anna has been living a double life," Pablo continued. "She's been having an affair with her ex-husband Derek while planning our wedding. But more than that, she's been systematically lying to me about my own thoughts, preferences, and relationships." The room went completely silent. Anna's face had gone pale, but she was still trying to maintain her composure. Pablo pulled out his phone and began displaying the photos the private investigator had taken. "These were taken last week while Anna told me she was working late." Gasps and murmurs rippled through the room as people saw the clear evidence of Anna's infidelity. "The wedding is off," Pablo announced. "I won't marry someone who has shown such consistent disregard for honesty and respect." Anna stood up abruptly, her mask finally dropping completely. "You're all going to regret this," she said, her voice cold with fury. "Every single one of you will regret turning against me." Then she walked out, leaving behind a room full of people who were finally seeing her clearly for the first time. 1 year later, I'm sitting in my new apartment in Portland, Oregon, watching the rain fall against my window and reflecting on how dramatically my life has changed. The woman who once let her sister systematically destroy her relationships is gone, replaced by someone who knows her own worth. Moving across the country was the best decision I ever made. I transferred within my company to their Portland office, got a promotion to senior marketing coordinator, and found an apartment in a neighborhood full of coffee shops and bookstores. For the first time in years, I'm building a life that belongs entirely to me. I'm also in love again. His name is Marcus, and he's a librarian at the main branch downtown. We met when I was looking for books about family dynamics and psychological manipulation. Marcus approached me in the psychology section and, instead of judging my reading choices, recommended 3 additional books that had helped him process his own difficult family relationships. Our first date lasted 6 hours. We talked about books, travel, family complications, and the ways people learn to rebuild themselves after toxic relationships. Marcus listened to my story about Anna without trying to minimize it or find excuses for her behavior. "You're not responsible for fixing people who don't want to be fixed," he told me during one of our early conversations. "And you're not obligated to keep accepting abuse just because it comes from family." Those words were revolutionary to me. I'd spent so many years believing that family meant enduring Anna's behavior, that good sisters accepted whatever treatment they received. Marcus showed me what healthy love looks like. He celebrates my successes instead of diminishing them. When we disagree, we talk through our differences instead of one person manipulating the other. He's introduced me to his friends and family as someone he's genuinely proud to be with. We're talking about moving in together next year, and for the first time, I'm approaching a major relationship milestone with excitement instead of anxiety. As for Anna, the consequences of her exposed behavior have been exactly what she deserved. Within a month of the canceled wedding, Derek had also figured out that she'd been lying to him about her relationship status. He ended their affair immediately, leaving Anna without either of the men she'd been manipulating. Our parents initially tried to defend Anna, but as more details emerged about her pattern of manipulation, including evidence Maya provided about the lies Anna had spread about our father during her divorce, even they began to see the truth. Anna moved to another state, supposedly for a fresh start, but I suspect it was because her reputation in our hometown had become irreparable. Maya tells me that Anna has tried to contact various family members, attempting to resurrect old relationships and rebuild her image, but most people remain skeptical. She's also tried to reach out to me directly. I've received emails, text messages, and even a handwritten letter in which Anna alternately apologizes, blames me for destroying her wedding, and tries to convince me that we should put the past behind us. I delete every message without responding. I've learned that Anna views any response, even rejection, as an opening for further manipulation. The only way to truly protect myself from her influence is to maintain complete no contact. Some people think this makes me cold or unforgiving. Dr. Rebecca helped me understand that forgiveness doesn't require exposing yourself to continued harm. Forgiveness and trust are two different things, she explained. Anna has never shown genuine remorse or made real efforts to change her patterns. Until she does, if she ever does, maintaining distance is the healthiest choice. Maya visits me in Portland sometimes, and we've built a strong relationship based on honesty and mutual respect. You saved me, she told me during her last visit. Watching you stand up to Mom showed me that I didn't have to accept her behavior either. That might be the most meaningful outcome of this entire experience, knowing that my willingness to speak the truth helped protect someone else from Anna's manipulation. Pablo has also moved on and is thriving. He started dating a woman named Jennifer about 6 months ago, and their relationship is based on mutual respect and honest communication. I'm proud of the woman I've become. I'm proud that I fought back when it mattered, that I helped expose Anna's behavior before she could destroy more relationships, and that I had the courage to build a completely new life. Some bridges are meant to be burned. Some relationships are too toxic to preserve. Even when they involve family, sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is walk away from people who consistently choose to hurt you. I'm finally at peace with all of it. Anna can no longer hurt me, and more importantly, she can no longer use me as a weapon to hurt other people. I'm free, genuinely free, for the first time in my adult life.